Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are, another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. Hey, Peter.
Good morning, Bill. Morning, everybody.
Here we go.
Or afternoon, or night, or whenever the hell.
Whenever you are. And if you're in the shower listening to us, don't get shocked. Episode number 286. 286. Resolutions are for losers unless you answer these questions correctly.
Oh, God, there's a quiz already. He didn't say there was a quiz.
Exactly. Freedom, this is the description, by the way. Freedom, especially of money and time, is mostly about having the money and time to solve problems you have. And all of us have a list of those. Or have problems you must solve, like world hunger. So how do you actually upgrade your thinking so you get a promotion in freedom, which leads to a dramatic increase in your earning capacity? I don't think I have ever met a human being that doesn't want more flexible time and income to support it. The sole purpose of this isolated time during this podcast, we intend to get you to step 3 feet outside of your life and take a good look at what is really going on and how you might consider making some changes to gain positive and desired results that will ultimately make you really happy. All you need to do is observe, ask the right question, then develop a new process to move your future to wishful places, especially using creative real estate transactions. These challenges I'll give that to you again. Sorry about that. These challenges we ask you to look at today will not be easy. But if done as we suggest, will change your future so that your future you is going to love the past you. There you go. Okay, so first of all, let's do some of our housework or house cleaning or whatever you call it here. So there is a special. Every week I put a different link in the description. And I used to tell you what they are, but lately I haven't been telling you what they are because they are actually very valuable. They are gifts from me to you if you're listening or watching. So go check the link out because I think you're going to be surprised.
Presents.
Exactly. Well, sometimes not. Sometimes it's just good stuff. But I've been in my archives pulling some really cool stuff out. So it's not the everyday usual. Some of it we have promoted. Some of it we haven't. It's stuff that we've made and never got around to advertising it. So there you go.
Now you have so much stuff you forget what you have half the time.
Oh, I do. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like, wow, I forgot that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30-ish Eastern Standard Time. When we do that, we stream on Facebook and we stream on YouTube, also Twitter, but Twitter's not as friendly as the other two. So if you wanted to join us then, you could ask us questions because we're live. And I will gladly answer, or Peter will gladly answer any of your questions, and you can go there and be part of the podcast. And in final, if you like us or hate us, let us know. Give us a review. And make sure you subscribe to us on whatever channel or whatever device or whatever place that you're listening to or watching us, so that when we do come out with some new content, you'll know about it, and you could be on top of your game. Okay? So that's it. So, Peter, I'd like to start with voicing my personal opinion that this is going to be a truly hair-raising year for business the world over.
Now, when you say hair raising,
Mhm.
is that good or bad, Bill?
Exactly.
Yeah. Bolting them, huh? Bolting them.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
Only for the fact that I believe as we near the end of this COVID pandemic, a lot will continue to change. I mean, when I first heard about the pandemic, or when I first started watching, President Trump at the time, every day on television talking about it, and there were, talking heads that said, "Oh, this is going to last for years." I was like, "No way!" And here we are, coming up on our 2-year anniversary, or 3 year. Is it 3 years or 2 years?
2.
2-year anniversary.
Yeah, 2. Yeah, 2.
Yeah. So, I never believed that. However, myself personally, 2020 was, I think, one of the worst monetary years I had. And 2021 was one of the best years I've ever had, monetarily.
Yep.
So, and it caused me to get outside of my normal routines and habits and kind of bypass all of them and get me to look at different things. Like, for example, we used to do a monthly meetup, right?
Yeah, live.
You and I, in a rented hall. And it was always a problem for me on outsiders. It got to a point where we were dragging equipment into the meetup, and the out-of-staters would join us virtually. We were doing that 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that watched or listened didn't participate because it was virtual.
Yeah,
right?
They're just watching, right? Like TV.
Yeah, or we just getting them onto the virtual event was difficult because of all the supposedly technical issues.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I do everything virtual. As you can see, I'm in my office all the time. Is where I do most of it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and I reach way more people, and we do way more things, and we talk to way more types of industries and people. So that's just one thing that happened to me. I mean, I can go on the whole rest of the podcast with the things that we've changed and done, but that's the most grandest is that people got used to doing Zoom meetings. You were making a comment in the meetings. You said the other day that, what did you say yesterday, the meeting we were in?
You and I, Thursday, Saturday, I saw you Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday. It was about 9-10 hours.
Yeah.
All on Zoom,
Yeah. Okay, so for the fact that I think that COVID has really changed things, is why I decided to reveal what is by far my number one most important success.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is very personal to me. Okay.
Oh yeah, you put a lot into this.
Well, just what I'm going to talk about, what I've done in my inner game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's my number one most successful point. It's my number one moneymaker. It's my number one business growing technique I've ever learned to do and practice each and every day, because I practice it each and every day, right? Mm. And I know it's not hardcore creative real estate techniques. So what we're going to talk about today is not hardcore creative real estate techniques. It's not going to be the deal structuring or how to talk to the customers or nothing like that.
Oh.
I'm going to save that for next week. Next week is going to be a hot podcast. And when I say next week, I'm talking about episode number 287.
Yeah.
It's going to be a hot podcast. I have a half-baked name for it already. So if it doesn't come out this way, don't hold me to it. Let me see if I can find it. It's going to go something like, creative real estate is all about giving, not taking.
Ooh, I like that.
Something like that, yeah.
No, I like that.
Yeah.
I think I even get it. Maybe.
And it's going to be an off sprout from today's podcast. So, all right. So, okay, I'm not sure what's going on with my phone here. Hang on one second. I have it on radio. What the hell? Hang on one second. No, it doesn't matter. It's still recording. Okay. So I believe, now that I got my shit together here, I believe if you do what we're about to talk about, it will grow your real estate business massively in ways that will haunt the nightmares of the lazy and ignorant real estate investors out there, around you especially, for years to come. With their glaring incompetence and seething jealous contempt. How are those words?
Yeah, those are fighting words, Mr. Hawthorne.
Yeah. Which is why I beg or ruthlessly implore means to beg, you to take every single word in that we talk about today. And here is my heartfelt, very sincere, tough love sentence.
Okay.
Your future prosperity depends on it. Your future prosperity depends on it. But before I start, this is a spin-off from the podcast 284 and 285 and the book Who Not How, written from Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
Mm-hmm.
It is an amazing book. If you can and will, go read it. It's Who Not How. Amazing book.
Yeah.
Okay. And most of our listeners purposely make this real estate thing and many other subjects harder than it has to be. And thus is my nemesis in life. Human beings making things harder than it has to be.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know, I have an educational reason why that happens, but I'm not going to say it because I'm sure you've got something to say. So I'm going to let you run with it. But I totally understand that. I'm a teacher, and I see people doing that, make things harder than they have to be if they don't do the right approach. So let me see what you got to say on this.
Yeah, well, that's not where I'm coming from, but you are correct. So first, too often we engage in tasks simply out of habit. So what's a task?
Well, something that you have to do. You know, you got to wash the clothes, you got to sweep the floor, you got to make your food.
Right.
You got to shave.
You got to shave?
Shopping.
We're supposed to do that?
Oh, not all Indians, you know.
So definition of a task is, your definition is right. One definition is assign a piece of work to.
Yep.
The other definition is a piece of work to be done or undertaken.
Okay.
So it's a piece of work to be done or undertaken.
Yeah. So it's like your task, like the thing.
Right. It could also be something hard or unpleasant that has to be done. Something hard or unpleasant that has to be done.
Yeah.
Right. So let me read that again. Too often we engage in tasks simply out of habit. So let me just be me for a second. Let's say that we have a real estate investor that's been trying to do this for 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is not unreal. I hear this a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And they bought multiple courses.
Mm-hmm.
They've read multiple books. And they're probably more confused now than they were before.
Mm-hmm.
Is it safe to say that they've assigned this task or attacking this task out of their normal habits? So is it possible that the data is not the problem, but their habit of duplicating it or assuming it or knowing it or understanding it is the real reason? Can we assume that?
Yeah, if they're not making any progress, something's wrong.
Right. So what is the task? What is your task? What do you want out of real estate, Peter?
I like to find enough properties to give me cash flow so that I don't have to do my music lessons anymore. I'm actually phasing out of that. So I have more freedom to come and go as I please and to do more real estate for more cash flow. So I have my retirement set up because I don't have one of those 401z and the annuity and all those other little things set up. So I'm relying on what I create to fund me as I sit in a wheelchair one day.
Right. So you ever point your finger at somebody like this?
No. You know why? You know why? I don't, because 3 fingers point back.
There you go. And your purpose just had 3 fingers pointing back at you, 1 pointing at the seller.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about this next podcast, number 287.
Yeah.
Because I want to change that. The point that I make is what habits, I mean, your habits are pretty good, but what habits are you imploring or following or doing to get that task done? Are they different or are they the same old, right? Let me look up habits. Define habits.
Well, you've talked about habits before, like you just have to take your habits and change them from habit. I saw something the other day. I think it's Grant Cardone. It's Facebook. He goes, look at your activities. Which one of those are making you money? He says, stop doing the ones that aren't making you money.
Yep.
You got to eat, you got to sleep. Okay, fine. But I think it was Patrick Clouden, the guy we talk about. His son Sean wrote the book Power of Words that we like so much. But his dad, I read in a business book. He goes, you get up in the morning and you check your emails and you look at your mail and you do this and you do that, and none of that's getting you any money. So why don't you just forget about that and get your work done first, and then worry about that stuff later.
That's right.
Because, maybe you don't get to your emails, but what's better, not getting to your emails or not getting to your work and making money?
Right.
Well, we got to answer that email. Nope. My favorite button on my computer is delete, 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 delete. Come on, I got work to do. Delete, get out of my way.
Yeah.
So did you find something there?
So definition of habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. A settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up.
Okay.
So I want to push the part, a settled or regular tendency or practice.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, because the part hard to give up, that's like the habits you don't want to be doing, stupid stuff. But if we develop good habits that are good for us, we want to keep those. We don't want to break those.
So a tendency is an inclination towards a particular characteristic or type of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So when the definition says a settled or regular tendency, right, it's a particular character or type of behavior. So it's a settled or regular type of behavior or practice, especially one that is hard to give up.
Mm-hmm. Would that mean people have their routines that they do?
Whoa. Mm-hmm. This was not what our podcast was supposed to be about. But here we are.
Folks, Bill never tells me what it is. So I just go where I go, too.
That's the first sentence of my paragraphs. First, too often we engage in tasks simply out of habit. Never really evaluating or bouncing your decision off of your main purpose. Eliminating data or ideas that don't fuel your purpose and desired result. So you say, I want cash flow. So every decision you make every day, you think to yourself, you do a quick check. Is this adding to my cash flow or subtracting from my cash flow?
That's right.
That's the question. So is this adding to my cash flow? Is this adding to making my real estate cash flow or subtracting from my real estate cash flow? Right? So you need to evaluate your decisions based on your purpose or your goal. Which, by the way, a goal is a bullseye. The purpose is the passion or the reason why you're doing it. And there's lots of books about that. I don't need to go over that. So let me give you an example. So purpose is to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you should dissect that and repurpose it to making a whole new life that is actually giving you back what you don't have or didn't have or want more of. Mm-hmm. So I know for me, I mean, I'm 58 and I it sounds so weird, but thank God. I mean, I had COVID in September, almost died. I mean, I'm doing things like yesterday I was at the bank trying to figure out how to put beneficiary people on my bank accounts to make sure if something happens to me, the money's not locked up. I have a meeting with a tax attorney on Monday for trust work. I was with my accountant this week for an hour and a half talking about Roth IRAs and tax-free money and how I could it changed. What I'm telling you is what I practice. You know, so what I'm telling you is instead of saying the purpose is to retire, I repurposed or redefined what is retirement. And to me, it's a whole new life that is actually giving me back what I worked so hard for. I'm 58 years old. I've got at least 40 years of self-improvement and teaching myself and reading books and trying things and experiencing things. And God knows, Peter, God knows. Oh my goodness. I couldn't confront for 1 second the amount of money that I've made. And had to pay people for my mistakes or people that screwed me. Or where I'd be like, I'm not going through a lawsuit. Here's your 10 grand. I can't even count those experiences. I can't even fathom to think how much money that would be. You know what I mean? It's just incredible.
Well, the more you do, the more something's going to happen. If you don't do anything, just sit around and have a little easy job, not much is going to happen. Good or bad, but you get the kind of arena you're in, you're going to bump into stuff once in a while until you learn. But how do you learn all that? Who teaches you that stuff beforehand?
Exactly. So this next point, I am not.
That's why I follow you. That's why I follow you.
You let me make the mistakes.
Well, you're going like a bull in a shop there, so I just don't have much choice. I keep running after you. You know.
All right. This next point, I am not expecting anybody to completely understand this until you have experienced it yourself. Unless you have been a driver of a car, you don't know what it's like to drive a car. Unless you've had sex, you don't know what it feels like. Unless you've experienced falling off of a cliff, you don't know what it's like. So I'm just going to mention this. I'm going to talk about it for a minute or two, and we're going to skim on. But I will tell you, I promise from very, 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 very deep down, this is freaking huge. If you figure this out, your life will 5, 10, 20x. And I'm not talking about just money. Okay? When you step 3 feet outside of your life, you ask yourself, what am I really doing?
Yeah.
Now, here's the point. Stepping 3 feet outside of your life. How do you do that? Now, the only way I can describe this that is even relatively close, and this is no different than being in Alaska on a cruise ship, seeing a glacier, and they say you only see the tip of it.
Right.
Okay, this is exactly what I'm talking about. So this example is just the tip. Okay. Ever go on vacation and realize it takes you 3, 4, 5 days to destimulate? I have had people, I've been with people, I have done it myself where it takes you 4 days just to relax. It's like, Oh, finally I'm relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. You cannot step 3 feet outside of your life when you're in the middle of the chaos. It's impossible to do. It's not, and I'm not telling you to go on vacation unless you want to use that as an excuse. Definitely do it. But what part of your life do you set up so that you could be by yourself in that relaxing, rejuvenating moment where you don't have restimulation, where you're not worried about this, that, and the other thing? Is your life really that way? And I could tell you that my life has fallen into that, and I want more of it. It's like, I'm not worried about paying my grocery bill. I'm not worried about having money for Christmas. I'm not worried about all of that. I'm not worried about the essentials in life. I should be, but I'm not. Because I have enough reserves and enough stuff. I was thinking the other day, I mean, if something happened to me, I could go a couple of years and not worry about it. Right? So my point is, and then I would have to live conservative, but my point is that when you get to that stage and you don't have all of those things poking at you and re-stimulating from bad experiences in the past, you then can clear your mind and be 3 feet outside of your head. Really good. Or outside of your life, really.
Yeah.
Right? You could do it really good. But you can get moments where you can get reprieves, like you could go take a day off and go to the beach or go relax. And I know my best ideas, Peter. I'll be trying to solve a problem. And I'll work on it for months. And then I'll just be exhausted. I can't do anymore. Oh my God, I'm going to die if I do another minute. And I'm like, the hell with it. I'm taking the weekend off.
Yep.
And I'll say to my wife, let's go to blah, 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 blah.
And Bill winds up in the mansions in Block Island.
Sometimes, right?
Or in Rhode Island.
But in the summertime. But the point is this. I'll be in a gift shop, and all of a sudden that thing that I've been trying to solve for 2 months, all of a sudden I see something or something in my environment, and it's like, oh my God! And the idea comes to my head.
Yep.
That's being 3 feet outside of your life.
Yeah.
Right? You'll soon see freedom and money comes toward those higher, impactful activities. So if you hold those higher, impactful activities, like your purpose and your goals, up on a pedestal or in the spotlight, I shouldn't say on a pedestal, in a spotlight.
Yeah.
And keep your attention on that, right? Then there you go.
That should pull you through.
So here's the punchline of the podcast, which we're going to talk about this the rest of the time we're together, which is another probably 30 minutes.
Yeah.
The universal secret, or the universe's secret, it's the best obvious secret in the universe. And I'm not joking, man. This podcast is very profound. This is not a real estate podcast. This is a success podcast. And you need this to be successful at real estate. If you don't have what I'm talking about today, you will not make it in real estate. Point blank, don't come around me. I don't want you near me.
No, that's true. Any book that I've ever read, there's always like your mind or mindset, your attitude, all that stuff is first. That's the first thing that happens. You open your eye in the morning, you don't start working. You start your little mind kind of spinning a little bit. So any really successful guys, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, any of those guys, if you read any books by them or listen to them, they always have something up their sleeve as far as their head. So what you're going to say now?
The universe's secret is attention.
Attention.
Attention. Your attention. Is it clean or is it dirty? Is it, and dirty I mean by dispersed and distracted. How clean is your intention? Ask yourself, do you really want to engage your attention on this task? This is where I am, Peter. I mean, you know, because there's some things going on in our lives together, you know, at the church and other places. Like, and I'm picking and choosing where I want to put my attention.
Yeah, you are.
Right? Could you spend your time in better ways or more exciting to you with your attention? And I promise you, I'm gonna hit a home run in podcast number 287 with this point. I am going to tie the last 4 podcasts together next podcast. It is absolutely incredible on how I'm going to tie it together, because your attention has a lot to do with it. Because you know what we're going to talk about next week is relationships.
Really?
And your relationships make or break your attention. Are they good ones or bad ones? Are they taking away or giving to your attention units? Interesting. Your environment has everything to do with this. Which, by the way, I have torn my office apart. I'm like distraught. I bought a couple of years ago, Dan Kennedy for a lot of money, lots of thousands of dollars, on making $1 million a year. And I stopped listening to it because I'm like, I don't want to do that. And unbeknownst to me, a couple of years later, not far from that.
Wait a minute. Why would you not be interested in that?
Because here's what happens. And that this is so not on my notes. Because one of the things that I realized, that one of the things that he said is when you, it's exactly what I'm talking about now. What you think of and what you understand and what you see is not what the people in your world right now see and understand. So you're going to lose a lot of friends and gain a lot of new friends, including family. So the point is that to be in that level of income and have that understanding, what we're talking about today, only certain people are going to listen to, and they'll go talk to somebody else about it, and they'll be like, yeah, whatever, that's not true. Sure. It's the same. It's the same way with creative real estate. I mean, I talked to a guy yesterday on the phone, because I'm back on the phones again because I have time and I just want to do it. I talked to a guy on the phone yesterday, and he thinks the property's worth 240. He owes 150, and I point blank just said to him, "Would you be willing to sell it for what you want it?" Yeah, I might be willing to do that. Right? Here's the thing. I had 3 or 4 phone calls before then. They were a total waste of my time, but I decided to cut them quick because I don't need to put my attention on those people's problems. I'm not going to help those people solve their problems. They don't want me to. So my attention is valuable to me. Of course. So could you spend your time in better ways or more exciting ways to you? So this is kind of like the cause and effect syndrome, right? Do I want to cause my life, or do I want my life to cause me? Do I want to live my life, or is life going to live me? Right? And if it's a task that can't be ignored, and this was from other podcasts, right? This was from podcast number 283 and 284 and 285, which is the book, Who Not How. And if it's a task that can be ignored, like in other words, you don't have to do it, but it has to be done, right? Could you find someone who could do it for you? Who? So your attention units don't get robbed of your desired outcome. For example, you have a business owner, right? And the business owner has a business and decides he wants to build a website. But he's a cheap SOB, right? And he goes and builds a website. Well, right now you could build a website for between $1,200 and $1,500, a really nice website. If you're good, you can find somebody for $800 to $1,000 to build a really nice website. So is your $1,000 really worth you spending 4 weeks trying to learn how to code and how to do WordPress and how to do all the graphics and resize graphics and colors and all the things that they do? Is it worth that?
Yeah, when you're the boss of a big business, or
I don't care if you're starting out and today's your first day on the job. You make money in real estate talking to sellers, not building websites.
Right.
Where is your attention going? And if you ask yourself, where can I talk to a seller today? Because your attention's on, I need to talk to sellers because that's how I make my money. And when we talk about next week, we talk about the episode 287. I'm gonna open that door up like you can't believe. I mean, I'm telling you, when you talk to people, what you're looking for and how you're looking for it, it'll all tie into this. I promise. Right? Okay. So attention, now watch this, Peter. Attention. All right, so let me back up. Are there too many distractions? Non-compliance from others around you. Most people don't know this, but what makes an executive tired is non-compliance. And you don't have to be an executive. It could be your family members. It could be your spouse. Sweetheart, could you stop and pick up a can of tuna on the way home? Oh, I forgot. That non-compliance, you now have to go do it yourself because she didn't or he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. So if I have employees and I have a staff meeting and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, Emma, I need you to do this, that, this, that. So I give her 5 things to do. She only does 2. Now I start thinking to myself, oh my God, Emma only did 2 of the 5 things I need to do. Emma's my daughter and has been my assistant for a bunch of years, by the way. She did 2 out of the 5. So now I start thinking as an executive, consciously or subconsciously, like, how am I going to go do those other 3 now? So mentally, if I have too many of those in my mind, I get tired because it's non-compliance. I have more things on my plate. We call this extra traffic or developed traffic, the non-compliance.
Yep.
If you have too much of that in your life, it disperses your attention units.
Yeah, you can't be focused on what you're supposed to be. You're trying to put out these other little situations, and it pulls you off your main thrust. That's not good.
Watch this, Peter. I have a great way to describe this.
Mm-hmm.
Attention is like a bullet.
Okay.
If it gets distracted, it heads off in the wrong direction and damages the wrong target.
Ricochet.
Yeah. Attention is like a bullet. If it gets distracted, it heads off in the wrong direction and damages the wrong target.
And completely misses the real target.
That's attention.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And dispersed attention causes decision fatigue.
Mm.
In other words, lack of clean, uninterrupted thought to evaluate what or who is best for the task at hand. If you got a lot of noise rattling around in your head, incomplete cycles of action, non-compliance,
yeah,
too many things distracting your attention, what's going to happen?
Well, you're not going to get done what you're supposed to be getting done. You can't be moving forward.
Right. Exactly right. It's not clean.
No.
It's not that bullet. So the bullet comes out of the gun and it heads for the target, the goal or the purpose that you intended to go to.
Mm.
And it hits a branch or it hits, I don't know, something. And next thing you know, it's off doing something else, heading for a different target, heading for a different place that you didn't intend it to do.
Yep.
Right? That's your attention. So how do you stop that? Right? How do you figure that out? Right? Hang on one second. major distractions here. Somebody's in a chat and they're like dinging, dinging, dinging. It's annoying. All right, so dispersed attention causes decision fatigue. In other words, lack of clean, uninterrupted thought to evaluate what or who is best for the task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't free up your mind, you can't begin to create expansion with your mental visions. If you don't free up your mind, you can't begin to create your creative expansion with your mental visions.
Yep.
If you don't see it, you aren't getting it.
Mm.
If you don't have a vision, a clear vision, this is not, I've read plenty of books about this. This is not a Billism. This is just something that I've learned. If you can't see it clearly, uninterrupted, you aren't getting it. Right?
Yeah.
So you need time to be able to see that picture clearly. You need to have it without distractions. Your attention on that picture or on that vision, your attention. We should probably go look that up. Hang on 1 second. There's not really there's not really a great definition here, but the one that I like is, or the closest one is, the mental faculty of considering or taking notice of someone or something.
The mental capacity?
The mental faculty of considering or taking notice of something or someone. So here's what used to happen to me, and I prevent this because I see what's going on here. As I get this idea that I want to do something, I want to create a new webinar.
Yeah.
Right? How clear is my runway to do that? For a very long time, I used to tell myself, if I buy like a piece of software or some course or something like that, if I can't read it and implement part of it or some of it or most of it within 2 weeks, I don't buy it. Because my attention span is 2 weeks. After that, I start to lose it. Right? So I know that of myself. So I work within those parameters. So what I did for very often is not that's not proper English. What I did
for a long time
was I would study the course enough that I knew what it was and what my outcome was, and then I would assign it to one of my assistants to do it.
Oh, that works.
Right?
That works.
Not really. It's not like me doing it, but you get it.
No, when somebody comes up with an idea, that's the person that has to be on top of it, because you give your idea to somebody else, it's not their idea. So they don't have the same passion and viewpoint to do it. They'll do it, but it's not the same.
And I'm going to talk about that in episode number 287, how you can get that person to be part of, to be the same.
Oh.
And it's not the person. See, this is like motivated sellers, Pete.
Yeah.
What is the first step of our formula?
The first step is to find a motivated seller.
Not make one.
Yeah, you can't make one. You can't make a monkey.
So what you're saying right now is you can't make them, you're not, that person isn't going to have the same idea as you.
Nope.
So what I'm saying is you don't make that person, you find that person.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right? So you go find someone that has the same passion like that idea so that it wholeheartedly becomes their intention.
Yeah. They buy into it because it matches them enough. You don't have to convince them, because you can't keep convincing somebody. Keep putting them up. You keep propping them up. Keep pumping them up. It's too much.
Which is the comment that I made earlier, which was what Dan Kennedy was saying in his course, but he didn't say it this way and I didn't get it right. you'll make new friends. When to do $1 million a year, you'll lose friends and make new friends.
Yeah, and what did he say?
I just told you.
Oh, well,
To make $1 million a year, you'll lose friends and make new friends.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah, I thought you said there was something that you thought differently than he said or whatever. But.
And I'm just now 2 years later, coming around to his way of thinking. And that's the reason why, is because I'm going to find who is interested in that project. That's my new friend.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm not trying to convince my assistant or my wife or you or somebody I already know to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go find someone who wants to do it, my new friend.
Yeah.
So you're going to lose old friends and get new friends. And it took me 2 or 2.5 years to come around to that. Oh, that's what he meant.
Mm. Well, It sounds like it's one thing to know what he means, but how to do it. So I think what you're saying sounds like a good way to how to do that.
Right. Okay, good. So you need time and energy to focus on those self-important and self-improvement activities, like education or education or experiences, to have your own skills and your own craft. Right. And again, I'm going to talk about that next week. I'm really excited about next week's podcast, or 287. Do you have a freed up mind on your goals, or is it a caged up mind, like a wild animal, brought back from the Amazon forest from Indiana Jones? And really it's not Indiana Jones, but it's like, are you bringing back King Kong from that amazing, remember that movie King Kong,
Yeah, from the island, Skull Island or some island.
So is your mind freed up or is it caged in? You have to make investments to increase your freedom. You've got to step up and commit to doing things better and smarter, not solely just working harder. Which goes back to, how do you change your habits? You change your habits by making sure that you're focused and have good vision on what you want, and then put your attention on it. And just let the rest happen. Don't worry about the details. It will be. I always get this a little bit skewed when I talk about this, but what's the definition of luck? Right? So luck to me there is no such thing as luck. What happens is you get that vision, you have your attention on it, consciously or subconsciously, all the time. And then all of a sudden you're on a 2-day vacation, like I told you about with my wife, and I'm in a gift store, a gift shop, and I see something, and all of a sudden, oh my God. And it's like, I'm lucky. No. What happened was I had the vision, I had the attention on it, and it just showed up in my universe. And they were passing around that whole thing about The Secret, right? That's kind of their, The Secret was just a marketing way of saying it. Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill wrote about this in 1913, I think.
The book, he started something. The book was published in 1937.
Yeah.
In Meriden, Connecticut. Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just read it in the book when I looked at Meriden. How funny, because I know it's one of your stomping grounds. But it took years to get to that point. So he started way back. It was
20 years, yeah.
Yeah, but by the time it got published, there it was, which is
the same thing. And we talk about this. The same thing is with psychocybernetics. That was written in the 30s, and he talks about attention units, and he talks about your mind and how important it is. We talk about L. Ron Hubbard with Dianetics. That's the science of what is the name? It's
modern science of mental health.
Yeah, modern science of mental health, right? So he talks about in Dianetics not only how the mind works, but how could you keep it healthy? How do you keep your mind healthy?
Well, I like the part of getting rid of all the bad stuff that you drag around that you don't like.
Right.
Instead of fighting it, there's a way to just get rid of it, and it's gone. You don't have to deal with it anymore. Now you're opened up, and it's permanent.
Now check this out. That's exactly right. It's exactly right.
I like, I don't like work. I've talked to a lot of people, and they say, I'm working on this, and I'm working on that, and I'm working on that. You know why they're working on it? Because it's still there.
Right.
I don't want things to be still there in my head or my life that I don't like. I want them to go the hell away.
Reminds me of my definition that we talked about in many podcasts ago, definition of solution.
Yeah.
What's the definition of solution?
Problem goes away.
There you go.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things out there that say you have to. Here's what I hate, Bill. You have to learn how to fill in the blank. How many times do people tell you learn how to be more patient? You have to learn how to be. Well, for Christ's sake, if you're so smart, why don't you show me how? Because if I knew how, I wouldn't be doing it. You got to learn how. Well, show me the book, or show me the course, or show me the person. So you and I both look for those things that actually make a difference and actually solve some things so they go away. So you're actually in a better spot and it's stable. End of rant.
Yeah. It's interesting to kind of get off on a weirdness here. So our friend Carol.
Yeah.
And I found out that Debbie from the church, Debbie.
Yeah, Debbie.
Both of these people have recently, in the last couple of months, decided they want to be copywriters. And separately have talked to me about it.
Really? Independently?
Right? Independently, not
they know each other, but on their own, independently, they came up with this.
And not knowing the other one's telling me the same thing, right? So it's interesting to me because, first of all, they come to me as a who, right? Like, how do you do this? Mm. And just simply the definition of copywriting is salesmanship on a page.
Yeah.
Right? That's what copywriting is. And ironically, after spending tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars and 20 years reading, God knows how many books. I mean, you've seen my house with all the books in it.
Oh, yeah.
I've got it down to 2 books.
Go on.
I swear to God, it's like read this book and read this book.
Wow.
And you'll be just fine.
Yeah.
Right. But it took me all those years, which is what my coaching is.
How's that?
20 years of learning, and you come to me and I have one for you. I had a coaching client call me the other day. He had an emergency. I told you about this. He has a check for $100 and something thousand, and the bank won't let him deposit it because it's got the name of the trust on the bank, and he didn't know what to do with the check. Right. So how much is he paying me? I answered that one question in literally 2 minutes. I told him what to do with the check and how to do it, and it was done. So he's not paying for my time. He's paying for a who, somebody that can just give him an instant answer. I mean, he texted me within an hour. I called him, and that the next morning, because it was late in the afternoon, the next morning he deposited $100 and something thousand check.
Yeah,
$160,000, $170,000 check.
Well, not as way more fancy than my $1,500 check that was tucked in an account in the family estate. Yeah. But you told me what to do there, and I did it and drove away with the cash. Hello, goodbye. Yeah. The bank said no.
Just because I've done it, right?
Yeah, and that's where we found out about beneficiaries on account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But see, you run into a problem, you learn something, you pass it along to your friends, and then everybody. I was in my bank to try to do that the other day, but they were kind of busy. I'll go back and do that too. It's a simple thing. But you imagine.
Yeah, well, you can only do it on personal accounts, not business accounts.
Oh, we found that out, huh?
I found that out yesterday. All right, so let's keep moving because we got to finish here. Truth is, when you believe something must be done, you somehow find the ability to get it done. Which is why for 200 and something podcasts, I always say the best thing you could do is go find a deal. And so many people do it backwards. They think they got to learn about it. They got to study it. They got to blah, 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 but they got to be prepared. Mm. When in truth, if you just tell your seller, this is my first deal, or I'm new at this, I'm going to get help. Is that okay with you? And don't worry about it. Everything will be legal and there won't be mistakes because I'm like, I have my attention on all the details. So nothing will happen. Right? Yeah. This is the reason why. Now, why does that happen, Peter? And believe me, I don't want to talk about this, but I want to make a comment to you that you will fully understand. Mm-hmm. First, I want to give you this data, right? So I'm going to read that paragraph again. Truth is, when you believe something must be done, you somehow find the ability to get it done. Mm-hmm. That is why deadlines are so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
When there is a demand or some major requirement, you find and use motivation, which is what our motivated sellers do, right? Now, just picture this. We talk about managing by statistics all the time, right?
Sure.
So when do the statistics have to be in by?
Every week.
Right? Whatever day. Thursday at 2, Sunday at 5, Tuesday at 9, whatever it is, right? Yep. That's your deadline.
Yep.
So is the line up or is the line down? And when you come together for your staff meeting or share it with others or even look at it yourself, are you going to be happy with it?
Right.
So that's the power of doing statistics is there's a deadline.
Yeah. And
you have to meet it. So you somehow find the ability to get the line up or get the line down.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's incredible where your attention goes when you do that. If you manage by statistics instead of by rumor and bias, right, then you're going to pay attention to what counts and what doesn't, because it's a natural thing that you only manage what you measure.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the good things, and we're not going to talk about this today, but one of the good things about your attention is if you manage your attention by statistics, it will change everything. Like for example, I want to be, you said earlier, I want to retire, or I want to be, what did you say? Cash flow free.
Cash flow. Yeah.
So, okay. So here's the statistic. How much do you need? I need $4,000 a month. Okay. So you start statusizing how much a month you're getting.
Yep.
And you could do that weekly. Like this week I made $1,000. Next week I made $800. Next week I made $600. Oh no, I'm not going to hit my 4,000. What do I do?
Yep.
And all of a sudden, the last week, miraculously, your attention goes to all the things you need to do, because the first 3 weeks you were distracted, and miraculously your attention goes to the things you need to do, and the line pops up to 5,000 instead of 4,000.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things you can do to blow away your resolutions is to staticize them, right? And make those deadlines. And those deadlines are like every Monday morning, I'm going to make a statistic, which, by the way, is not hard to do. Go to YouTube and type in Excel spreadsheet statistics, and you could just put numbers in there and it automatically makes a line graph for you.
No kidding.
It's not hard to do. It's like simple Simon. I mean, it's a push of a button. I think it's a 10-minute YouTube video to teach you how to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So just make a simple graph. Don't get complicated. Make a simple graph of what your goal is, which, by the way, last week I talked about making 90-day goals.
Mm.
Make them short. Make them simple. Make them easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So have your grand scheme of 2000, whatever, 22 or 23 or 25, whatever year it is. And then break it down into 4 segments. Like my first quarter, I'm going to do this. My second quarter, I'm going to do that. My third quarter, I'm going to do this. And here's what you do. When you make annual resolutions, your attention's too dispersed. When you make quarterly 90-day decisions, and quarterly is not 90 days, but you make 90-day and then another 90-day, that's a quarter, right? So if you make quarterly goals, your attention span will last the 90 days. It won't last the whole year.
No, that's like when you had homework and you had like 3 weeks to get an essay done or a project. 2 days before, you're scrambling because it's just, I can do it later. I can do it later.
Right.
Not good.
Which brings me to my last point. Your resolutions are not getting hit as you intend, right? Mm-hmm. Without the pressing demand, you needed motivational supply doesn't show up. So that's the reason why your resolutions don't hit. You don't have deadlines, right? Or if you do, your attention is getting dispersed and they're not paying attention to that goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
You, quite frankly, when this happens, the reason why your resolutions don't come true and your goals, and we talked about this in episode number 285 about procrastination. Quite frankly, you don't believe in yourself to get it done.
Yeah.
And you have doubt. Like, I'm gonna make $1,000 a week. That's the goal. That's the intention and where you put your attention.
Yeah.
Right. And immediately you go, oh, how am I going to do that? It just countered your decision subconsciously.
Mm-hmm.
So I put two decisions there. I put one good and one bad, and now they're hitting one another with the same amount of force, and they don't move. It's like you got one locomotive coming from the north and another locomotive coming from the south, and they smash into one another, right, on the same track, and it's done.
Yep.
And end of the ride. Locomotive no longer runs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So you quite frankly do believe in yourself to get it done, or you don't, one or the other. So believing in yourself is the most important thing.
And if you don't, you better read some of those books we just told you about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm serious.
Yeah,
I
totally.
was talking to the wife, the girls are girls, and some girls are like the head of the family, and they're pushing the real estate thing in the family. The husband's going, I don't know what. My family, it's me. And Mary's been very good. She's developed very good habits. She gets up, she does the real estate stuff, she writes the letters. I don't have to say a word. She's doing her job, but she's not thinking like you and I do yet, because she hasn't read. So anyways, those are good to do. They would be very helpful.
Yes. So you quite frankly do believe in yourself to get it done, or you have doubt, or you are trying to figure out how to do something you don't know about, or fit something into your life that can't get 100% pure attention units so it has a chance to succeed. Oh, I'm going to do real estate, but they have a 60-hour-a-week job and kids and parents and all kinds of things they got to take care of. So that decision is a wish and is a desire instead of an interest, right? Mm-hmm. Desire is it's like a wish, right? It's not like I am going to do this. I'm definitely going to do this because you didn't find the time to put your attention on it. No, you're too worried about your job. You're too worried about your kids and too worried about taking care of your elderly parents. And it just doesn't fit in.
No, you're too stuck on what's happening today and tomorrow morning to look further than that into the future. Because these bigger game plans take time, and you have to be able to look at a longer span of time. You don't look if you're just stuck on today and tomorrow morning.
Right.
In the next 2 minutes, you got to do something.
So I believe in this so much, Peter, that I'm going to tell you something.
Yeah.
That I shouldn't tell you because when my wife finds out, she's going to kick my ass. Actually, she's not. I believe in this so much that I just bought a tool called, you probably saw it on Facebook. It's called Remarkable. It's a tablet where all it is paper and pencil where you can draw on it. It's like you can write on it like it's paper. Oh yeah. But it converts everything into electronic stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I print everything. Like my podcast is always on paper. I have notebooks over here. I write everything. Yeah. Right. This device, which is not cheap, is a way for me to keep everything in one spot. All my notebooks, all my stuff in one spot. So that must be better than that white pad you had that you could write on, but that was kind of I have a $600 iPad that I paid for that I do presentations on, but this is different because I can write notes, I can read PDFs and make notes in them and write everything on it, and then it puts it into a PDF document and I can share it on any devices, I can email it to people, I can do all kinds of stuff. Wow. It's freaking cool. And it will not ask you how much it costs. No. It was more than a couple $100. So so 100% of pure attention is what you need, right? So what you need to do is clearly draft a decisive picture on paper, which is why I'm telling you about this device. Mm-hmm. To go find who can get you there and give their 100% attention on getting her done. The most useful thing you can do for other people is appreciate their value. Mm. Step 3 feet outside of your life, look at what you're doing, align it with what you want, and then find who has the answers and let them create it to your satisfaction. Everyone wins that way. Okay?
Yeah.
So don't forget to go in your chat, check out the surprise link that I gave to you. Make sure you subscribe to us on whatever channel you're watching us or whatever, watching or hearing us. Please go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, the top right-hand side. It says testimonials. Please leave me a testimonial. Leave Pete a testimonial. Leave both of us a testimonial. And let us know what you think about things. Your feedback is our pay. Your feedback is our pay. Okay, so please let us know your opinions if you think we should improve something, if you think we're doing something really good, because I don't want to be here wasting my time trying to help you and you're not even thinking we're helping. So where do I want my attention to go? There you go.
Someplace useful.
Exactly. All right, we're over now. Talk to you at episode number 287. I can't wait. I'm excited for that podcast to get through that and tell you what's going on in my head.
Sounds good.
All right, over and out. Talk next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.